Glazing, the advanced technique all the cool kids are using these days in order to obtain smooth and creamy blends. Problem is, it can be really hard to master and also painstakingly slow. But what if I told you it doesn't have to be like this? That there is another secret use for this technique that's gonna make both easier and faster for you to blend your transitions. Before we begin, I can see just a small percentage of you guys is actually subscribed to the channel. Please subscribe, this means a lot and you can change your mind later. Also stick around for the whole video because I have a big giveaway to come. What is glazing? The general definition of glazing is a painting technique that consists in applying multiple thin layers of paint. Usually it's considered to be a refinement technique or just to add color or saturation to a particular part of your model. You take your paint, you thin it down with a bunch of water and you just slap it on your model, right? Right? Well, no, there is something really important that you'll need to do before you add the paint to your model. This thing here is the realization from glaze to wash. You see, what really makes these two painting techniques different is not how much is thinned down or if it contains another type of medium except water or stuff like that. The real difference is how much control you have while applying it. And the level of control comes from, drum roll, the quantity of paint / water you have on your brush. Which means that if you want more control, you'll have to wick off the excess. How much? That's a good question. Try to see this as a continuum of sorts, not just a yes or no, true or false thing. The more liquid / paint you have on the brush, the less control you'll have. This also means that it's possible to apply washes or contrast paint like paints in a more controlled way, guiding the paint around. But the level of control won't be the same as in a glaze. And here's the big issue. Most people are convinced there is just one perfect way of using this technique. And this couldn't be further from the truth. There is no fixed amount of paint you need to wick off your brush. There is no fixed dilution. These things are both on a continuum. If when you glaze, pooling forms, you feel you can't quite control the paint as you'd like to, staining happens and everything looks meh, that's a sign that you have too much water on your brush. So when you're finished mixing with water, wash your brush, then pick up the paint and test how much paint you have on your brush by passing your brush on a paper towel or more preferably on your hand, because that's what I use. I think paper towels are way too absorbent and they take a little bit of that control out of you, which I don't like. Am I a control freak? Maybe. If you don't feel comfortable testing the consistency directly on your model, I quickly created these two little testing palettes you can use. It's just simple and plain plastic card, primed in black and off-white, and there you go. You can use that as a test. As long as it's plastic, it works. Just paint there to test both the paint and the brush stroke. On the other hand, if you're always wicking off like 90% of the paint off your brush, you will always end up with very, very thin layers. And it will take an eternity for you to blend that transition. You want that? Why would you want that? Nobody wants that. Sure, it's something that you might want sometimes, but not all the time. There is so much more to glazing than doing hundreds of layers. It's my pleasure to announce a collaboration with the amazing company Obizone for a giveaway. They wanted to send me something, but I already have everything. I already bought everything myself, so I'm gonna give it to one of you. To participate, you only need to sign up to my mailing list. All the other useful info are down below in the description, so check that out. And good luck! Well, let me tell you, 99.99999% of painters are using way too much water. If you add too much water to your paint, this will result in a very, very transparent layer, which, again, it's not bad per se. But if you want to unlock the full power of the glazing technique, you'll need to understand the opacity continuum. The f is that? It's really easy, actually. I'm just gonna show you on the iPad because I think it's gonna make the concept much easier to understand. First, take a look at the bar in the left side of the screen. You see this bar represents the continuum of opacity and transparency of the paint. Let me show you different levels of opacity. So at 100%, we have full opacity. So like the very matte base coat we might want. Right? 80% is slightly more transparent, but still it covers pretty well. As 80%, even 70% is pretty covering. You could consider a like two thin coats thing. And then from 60, the transparency keeps going down to become more and more obvious. 30, 15, and 5% are very transparent layers. Most painters are considering as a glaze just the last 3. They are of course the most obvious where the paint is more transparent, but the truth is a glaze is a transparent layer. And this doesn't mean it has to be below 50% opacity because we have some transparency above 50%. There's a point where base coat consistency interacts with glazing consistency. And those are the very powerful consistency that's gonna allow you to paint faster, more efficiently, and even more cleaner, whatever, that thing. Having said that, there are 2 unconventional and pretty unknown ways of glazing. Both of them require you to use a consistency that's slightly above the layer consistency, aka full opacity. The first method I'm showing right now consists in applying a base coat and then directly glaze the highlight into the base coat. The lower consistency is going to allow you to have your highlight color gradually fading into the base coat without you doing anything really. It's just a matter of brushstroke really, without any further blending required. That's cool, right? Yes, but it can also be challenging for someone who's just starting out trying advanced techniques, because you'll have to pay much attention to the direction of your brushstroke and use the whole length of the brush. And if that sounds a little bit too overwhelming for your taste, bro, I got you, don't worry, okay? I have a second method for you. Like all things, it's gonna have a little bit of a learning curve, but from there, it's gonna allow you to paint faster, have cleaner blends without 100,000 trillions, thousands layers. Also, you have the chance to elevate this technique. You'll just need to push the contrast light to dark more or less, depending on if you want a display piece or a gaming piece. After applying your base coat like we did for the other model, you're gonna take the same highlight colors that I used also for the other model and apply it in the most lit areas, but this time with full opacity. Here's the value jump. Is not huge, but it's not small either. I suggest you try to do this with a value jump that you feel comfortable with. Just don't go too crazy, okay? Just keep it down, okay? You see this? You see, it's a mosquito. I can grab mosquito, just like a ninja. What you're gonna do, pay attention, is you're gonna apply the same glaze as the first method, this time just on the edge where the two transition meet. I'm gonna be mixing a 1-to-1 mix to my base coat and highlight color and create a middle tone. And I'm gonna work in that middle tone where the base coat and highlight meet. The less space you take here, the better. Try to be mindful of your brushstroke here. Always remember to paint downwards. That's the area where more pigment deposits. You have to try out the consistency. You'll kind of have to tweak it and actually try it on your model to see which consistency works best for you. Because all paints are different, I cannot give you a recipe, but I can surely give you some guidelines that can really help you. Here you can achieve decent transition with a couple of layers. That's what I do usually. If you're not satisfied with the transition, you can apply thin layers. You can combine different types of glazing. You can do many things. It's just putting a technique into a box. It's harmful sometimes. And if in doubt, just remember, less paint, safer. So now you're ready to glaze your miniatures like a pro. But there's still something amiss here, right? Where do you place your highlights? People will tell you to study prisms, basic shapes, circles, blah, 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 blah. But that, to be honest, was really confusing for me. So if you want to take full advantage of what I just said in this video, then you'll have absolutely need to watch this video that will teach you a cheat code to paint volumes on your miniatures. That's fa caldo, fa caldo, fa caldo.